My name is Evelyn, and I'm 32 years old. 3 months ago, I thought I knew everything about my family. I thought loyalty ran deeper than greed. I thought blood was thicker than money. I was wrong about everything. The moment that changed, my life forever happened on a Tuesday morning in April. I was standing in my kitchen, staring at a lottery ticket worth $2.7 million. But here's the thing. According to my sister Rachel, that ticket belonged to her. If you're watching this, you probably think you know how this story ends. Trust me, you don't. Because what I discovered about my family that day went far beyond stolen lottery tickets. It revealed a web of lies that had been suffocating me for years. I'd always been the reliable one in our family. The one who remembered birthdays, organized, holidays, and bailed everyone out of their messes. My apartment became the meeting place for every family crisis. My savings account became the emergency fund for everyone else's poor decisions. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I was making coffee when my phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. She was my younger sister by 4 years, and honestly, she'd been living in my shadow her entire life. Not because I tried to overshadow her, but because she never seemed to try at anything. Evie, can you check if I left my purse at your place last night? The text read. The night before, Rachel had come over for dinner. She'd been going through another breakup and needed someone to listen to her complain about men for 3 hours straight. I'd fed her, given her wine, and let her crash on my couch, just like I always did. I found her purse on my coffee table. Inside, mixed in with her usual chaos of receipts and makeup, I found something that made my heart stop. A lottery ticket. But not just any lottery ticket. It was the exact same numbers I'd been playing religiously for 5 years. My lucky numbers. My grandmother's birthday, my parents' anniversary, and the day I graduated college. Numbers that meant something to me. Numbers I'd shared with Rachel years ago when I explained my lottery ritual to her. I pulled out my phone and checked the winning numbers from Saturday's drawing. My hands started shaking as I matched each digit. One by one, all 6 numbers. Perfect match. The ticket was worth $2.7 million, and it was sitting in my sister's purse. My first thought wasn't anger, it was confusion. How did Rachel have a ticket with my numbers? Had she started playing them too? Was this some incredible coincidence? Then I remembered something that made my blood run cold. Saturday afternoon, I'd run to the corner store to buy groceries. Rachel had been at my apartment, waiting for me to get ready for our cousin's birthday party. I'd left my purse on the kitchen counter. If you are watching this right now, drop a comment letting me know where you are viewing from. Before I tell you about this life-changing decision, hit like and subscribe to hear more real stories about family loyalty and betrayal that might just change how you see your own relationships. I sat down at my kitchen table with that ticket in my hands. My mind was racing through possibilities. Maybe Rachel had bought her own ticket with my numbers. Maybe this was all innocent. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. But deep in my gut, I knew the truth. My sister had taken my lottery ticket and replaced it with a losing one. She'd stolen from me. Her own sister. The person who'd supported her. Through every crisis, every heartbreak, every failure. The worst part wasn't even the money. It was the betrayal. It was realizing that while I'd been building my life around helping my family, they'd been taking advantage of my kindness. They'd been using my love as a weakness. I made a decision in that moment that would change everything. I wasn't going to confront Rachel directly. I wasn't going to give her a chance to lie or manipulate the situation. Instead, I was going to set up a test, a way to find out who in my family I could really trust. What I discovered over the next few weeks shattered everything I believed about loyalty, love, and family bonds. It showed me that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones most willing to hurt you. But it also revealed something beautiful, that real family isn't always about blood. This is the story of how I lost a sister, but found my strength. How I discovered that being kind doesn't mean being weak, and how sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. To understand what happened next, you need to know about my family. We're not wealthy, but we're not poor either. We're that middle-class family where everyone looks fine from the outside, but there are cracks in the foundation that nobody talks about. My parents, David and Linda, raised Rachel and me to believe that family comes first. Always. No matter what. They drilled into us that blood loyalty was sacred, that you never abandon family, even when they hurt you. Looking back, I realized this philosophy created a perfect environment for manipulation. My father worked construction his whole life. Strong hands, tired eyes, and a belief that showing emotion was weakness. He taught me to be self-reliant by never helping me with anything. When I was 16 and needed money for prom, he told me to get a job. When Rachel was 16 and needed money for prom, he somehow found it in the budget. My mother was the peacekeeper. Whenever there was conflict, she'd smooth things over with phrases like, "family is forever," and "blood is thicker than water." She never addressed the real problems. She just painted over them with guilt and obligation. Rachel had always been the baby of the family. 4 years younger than me, she'd learned early that tears and helplessness got her what she wanted. While I was working part-time jobs in high school, Rachel was getting allowances well into college. While I was paying my own way through university, Rachel's tuition was covered by our parents. The pattern continued into adulthood. Rachel would make impulsive decisions, quitting jobs, dating terrible men, buying things she couldn't afford, and somehow I always ended up cleaning up the mess. Not my parents, me. When Rachel was 25, she decided to move to Los Angeles to become an actress. She had no plan, no savings, and no real talent. But she had a dream and a sister who couldn't say no. I co-signed her lease, helped with her moving expenses, and sent her money every month for 2 years. She came back with nothing but debt and drama. Our parents welcomed her home with open arms and lectures about how I needed to be more supportive during her transition period. Then there's my extended family. My cousin Marcus, who borrowed $5,000 from me 3 years ago to start a business that never materialized. My Aunt Susan, who guilt-tripped me into paying for my grandmother's birthday party because family celebrations are investments in love. My Uncle Jerry, my father's brother, was different. He owned a small electronics business and had always been straight with me. No sugarcoating, no manipulation, just honesty. He was the one person in my family who called out bad behavior instead of enabling it. I'd started playing the lottery 5 years ago as a small rebellion against my practical nature. Every Saturday, I'd buy a ticket with my special numbers. It was my tiny act of hope in a world that felt increasingly unfair. Those numbers represented the good memories I had with my family, back when love didn't come with conditions. My grandmother's birthday was February 14th. She'd raised me while my parents worked. She taught me to bake, to sew, and to believe in magic. She died when I was 25, and I started playing her birthday as my first lottery number. My parents' anniversary was June 8th. They'd been married 35 years, and despite their flaws, they'd shown me what commitment looked like. That became my second number. My college graduation date was May 23rd. It represented my independence, my achievement, my proof that I could succeed without anyone's help. My third number. The other 3 numbers were random picks that had just felt right that first day. But those first 3 meant everything to me. They were my tribute to family love before it became complicated by expectations and disappointment. Have you ever had a ritual that kept you hopeful during difficult times? Something small but meaningful that helped you believe things could get better? That lottery ticket was mine. I'd told Rachel about my numbers years ago during one of our late-night sister talks, back when I thought we shared everything, back when I believed she'd never hurt me intentionally. Now, sitting in my kitchen with her winning ticket in my hands, I realized how naive I'd been. The question wasn't whether Rachel had betrayed me. The question was how long this had been going on, and who else in my family knew about it. I spent 3 days planning my test. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything except figuring out who in my family I could actually trust. The lottery ticket sat in my safe like a ticking bomb, waiting to explode my world. My plan was simple but brilliant. I would tell different family members different stories about finding money or winning prizes, then see who tried to take advantage. I'd create situations that would reveal everyone's true character. But first, I needed evidence about the lottery ticket. I called my Uncle Jerry and asked him to meet me for coffee. I knew he had security cameras in his electronics shop, and more importantly, I knew he'd tell me the truth. "Jerry," I said, sliding the ticket across the table, "I need your help with something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." He examined the ticket carefully. His weathered hands turned it over, checking every detail. Jerry had been dealing with fraud in his business for 20 years. If anyone could spot tampering, it was him. "Where did you find this?" he asked. I told him everything, about finding it in Rachel's purse, about my suspicions, about the numbers being mine. Jerry listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. "Evelyn," he said finally, "this ticket has been handled carefully. But look here." He pointed to a tiny corner that looked slightly different. "Someone tried to steam this open and reseal it. Probably to check the numbers before deciding whether to steal it." My heart sank. It was true. Rachel hadn't just taken my ticket impulsively. She'd planned this. She'd stolen it, checked if it was a winner, and when she realized what she'd done, she'd kept it anyway. "What are you going to do?" Jerry asked. "I'm going to find out who else in our family would betray me," I said. That afternoon, I started my experiment. I called my cousin Marcus first. "Marcus, I need advice," I said. "I found an envelope with $3,000 cash in my apartment building's laundry room. No name, no identification. What do you think I should do?" His response was immediate. "Keep it. Finders keepers, right? You've helped so many people in our family. Consider it karma paying you back." Strike one. Next, I texted my Aunt Susan. "Aunt Susan, weird question. If someone accidentally left valuable jewelry at your house and you couldn't reach them for weeks, would you sell it to cover an emergency expense and pay them back later?" Her response made me sick. "Honey, sometimes life forces us to make hard choices. If it's a real emergency and you truly intend to pay them back, I think they'd understand. Family takes care of family." Strike two. Then I called my mother with the most heartbreaking test of all. "Mom, I need to ask you something hypothetically. If Rachel had done something that really hurt me, but confronting her might cause family drama, what would you want me to do?" My mother's response crushed me. "Evelyn, you know how sensitive Rachel is. She's been through so much. Maybe it's better to just let sleeping dogs lie? You're so strong, sweetheart. You can handle anything." Strike three, but it was my father's response that broke my heart completely. When I asked him the same hypothetical question, he said, "Evie, you've always been the mature one, the responsible one. Sometimes being the bigger person means taking the hit for the family's sake." I hung up that call and cried for an hour. My own parents would rather sacrifice me than address Rachel's behavior. They'd rather I suffer in silence than face uncomfortable truths. The only person who passed my tests was Jerry. When I told him about finding the money, he said, "Turn it into the building manager or the police. That money might be someone's rent payment." When I mentioned the jewelry scenario, he said, "You call them every day until you reach them. Other people's belongings aren't yours to touch, emergency or not." And when I asked about the Rachel situation, he said something that changed my perspective forever. "Evelyn, protecting someone from consequences isn't love. It's enabling. Real love sometimes means letting people face the results of their choices." That night, I made a decision that terrified me. I wasn't just going to confront Rachel about the lottery ticket. I was going to use this opportunity to reset every relationship in my family. If they wanted to choose sides, I'd make it easy for them. I scheduled a family dinner for the following Saturday. I told everyone it was to celebrate some good news I wanted to share. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was about to destroy our family dynamic while sitting around the same table where we'd shared countless meals. I'd spent the week setting up a hidden camera in my dining room. Jerry had helped me install it, disguised as a decorative plant. Whatever happened during this confrontation, I wanted proof. Rachel arrived first, looking nervous. She'd been texting me all week, asking what the good news was. I'd kept my responses vague, watching her anxiety grow. Now I understand why. She was terrified I'd figured out what she'd done. My parents came next, followed by Marcus and Aunt Susan. Jerry arrived last, giving me a subtle nod of support. He was the only one who knew what was coming. "Thank you all for being here," I began, standing at the head of the table. "I wanted to share something incredible that happened to me recently. I pulled out a lottery ticket. Not the real one, but a different ticket I'd bought that week. I'd practiced this moment in my mirror dozens of times. I won the lottery," I announced. $6 million. The reactions were everything I'd expected and worse. Marcus immediately started talking about investment opportunities. Aunt Susan began crying about how this was a blessing for the whole family. My parents started planning how I could help everyone. But Rachel went completely white. Her hands started shaking, and she couldn't meet my eyes. "That's impossible," she whispered. "What do you mean, impossible?" I asked calmly. "I mean, that's incredible, Evie. Just..." "Wow." But her voice was cracking. I let the conversation continue for 10 minutes, watching my family reveal their greed. Marcus had already calculated how much I could loan him for a new business venture. Aunt Susan was hinting about her mortgage payments. Even my parents were discussing home renovations I could fund. Nobody asked if I was happy. Nobody asked what I wanted to do with the money. They just started dividing it up like vultures. Finally, I stood up again. "Actually, I need to correct something. I didn't win $6 million. I won $2.7 million. And I have the ticket right here." I pulled out the real lottery ticket, the one I'd found in Rachel's purse. Her face went from white to green. "This is the winning ticket," I continued. "The question is, how did it end up in Rachel's purse?" The silence was deafening. Rachel started crying, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of panic. "Evie, I can explain," she sobbed. "Please do," I said. "Explain to everyone here how you stole my lottery ticket from my purse while I was getting groceries. Explain how you checked the numbers and realized it was worth millions. Explain how you decided to keep it instead of telling me." My father stood up. "Now wait just a minute. You're accusing your sister of theft based on what? Finding a lottery ticket in her purse?" "Dad, those are my numbers. The numbers I've played every week for 5 years. The numbers I told Rachel about years ago. Grandmother's birthday, your anniversary, my graduation date. How would Rachel even know those numbers if she hadn't taken my ticket?" Rachel collapsed into sobs. "I was going to tell you. I was scared you'd hate me." You were scared I'd hate you, so you decided to steal $2.7 million from me instead? My mother tried to intervene. Evelyn, maybe this is all a misunderstanding. Maybe Rachel bought her own ticket with those numbers because they're family dates. I pulled out my phone and showed them Rachel's bank statements. She'd given me access years ago when I helped her with her budget. She hasn't bought a lottery ticket in 2 years. The last charge to the lottery commission was in 2022. Jerry finally spoke up. Rachel, did you take your sister's lottery ticket? Through her tears, Rachel nodded. I didn't mean for this to happen. I saw the ticket and I wanted to see if it was a winner. When I realized it won, I panicked. I thought maybe if I waited, I could figure out how to split it with Evie. Split it? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You were going to split my money with me? The worst part was my family's reaction. Instead of outrage at Rachel's theft, they immediately shifted into damage control mode. My mother started talking about forgiveness. My father mentioned family, loyalty. Marcus suggested we work out a fair division. Not one of them condemned Rachel for stealing from me. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a lottery ticket. The confrontation ended with me walking out of my own apartment. I couldn't stand to be in the same room with people who thought theft was negotiable as long as it stayed in the family. I spent that night in a hotel, staring at the ceiling and processing what had just happened. My sister had stolen from me. My parents had defended her. My extended family had tried to broker a deal with my own money. Only Jerry had stood up for what was right. The next morning, I hired a lawyer, not just for the lottery ticket, but to understand my options. The lawyer confirmed what I already knew. Rachel had committed theft, and I had every right to press charges. But she also told me something I hadn't considered. Family theft cases are complicated, she explained. Even if you win, the emotional cost might be higher than the money you recover. I spent a week thinking about that advice. Was $2.7 million worth destroying my family? Then I realized I was asking the wrong question. The real question was, had my family already been destroyed, and I just hadn't noticed? I decided not to press charges, but I did claim the lottery ticket. Rachel couldn't contest it. The numbers were documented as mine, and I had witnesses who could testify about my weekly ritual. She had no legal claim to money she'd stolen. The family reaction was swift and predictable. My parents called me selfish and ungrateful. They said I was destroying the family over money. Marcus and Aunt Susan sided with my parents, claiming I was being vindictive. Only Jerry supported my decision. You're not destroying anything, he told me. You're just refusing to enable it anymore. I made another decision that week. I was moving away. Not just from my apartment, but from the city where I'd spent my entire life catering to people who saw my kindness as weakness. I used part of the lottery money to buy a house 3 states away. A beautiful craftsman-style home with a garden, and room for the life I'd never allowed myself to dream about. For the first time in my adult life, I was making decisions based on what I wanted, not what my family expected. The move was both liberating and heartbreaking. Packing up my life meant confronting how much of it had been built around other people's needs. My spare bedroom had been Rachel's crash pad. My kitchen had been the family gathering place. My savings account had been everyone's emergency fund. Jerry helped me move. He was the only family member who came to see me off. "You're not running away," he said as we loaded the last box into the truck. "You're running toward something better." Have you ever made a decision that felt like dying and being reborn at the same time? That's what leaving felt like. Terrifying and necessary. 1 year later, everything changed. I'm writing this from my home office, looking out at the garden I planted last spring. The tomatoes are thriving, the roses are blooming, and I've never felt more peaceful. I started a consulting business helping small companies with their finances. Turns out, all those years of managing family crises had given me incredible problem-solving skills. I'm successful, independent, and surrounded by people who respect my boundaries. I've made new friends here. Real friends who like me for who I am, not what I can do for them. I joined a book club, started taking pottery classes, and even began dating again. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm living my life instead of managing everyone else's. Jerry visits every few months. He's proud of the life I've built and often says I inspire him to set better boundaries with difficult family members. As for the rest of my family, we haven't spoken in 8 months. My parents sent a Christmas card with a note about hoping I'd come to my senses. Rachel tried calling on my birthday, but I didn't answer. Do I miss them? I miss the idea of them. I miss having a family that loves unconditionally. But I don't miss the drama, the manipulation, or the constant feeling that my worth was measured by my usefulness. The lottery money gave me financial freedom, but walking away from toxic relationships gave me something more valuable: self-respect. Sometimes the biggest jackpot isn't money. Sometimes it's realizing you deserve better than you've been accepting. If you're still watching, you might be wondering if I have any regrets. The answer is complicated. I regret that it took a lottery ticket to see my family clearly. I regret that I spent so many years giving pieces of myself to people who never appreciated the sacrifice. But I don't regret the choices I made once I saw the truth. The hardest part hasn't been the loneliness. It's been deprogramming myself from a lifetime of putting others first. I still catch myself apologizing for things that aren't my fault. I still feel guilty for spending money on myself instead of sending it to family members who need it more. But I'm learning. Therapy has helped enormously. My therapist, Dr. Martinez, helped me understand something crucial: that enabling bad behavior isn't love, it's fear. Fear of conflict, fear of abandonment, fear of being seen as selfish. You weren't being kind to your family, she told me during one session. You were being convenient. There's a difference. That distinction changed everything for me. Real kindness requires boundaries. Real love sometimes means saying no. Real family celebrates your success instead of trying to profit from it. I want to address something to anyone watching who sees themselves in my story. Maybe you have a family member who takes advantage of your generosity. Maybe you're the one everyone calls when they need money, support, or someone to clean up their messes. Please know this: you are not responsible for other people's choices. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Your kindness is not weakness, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your own well-being. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you healthy. I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let people face the consequences of their actions. Rachel never learned responsibility because our family always rescued her from her mistakes. Maybe facing the loss of her relationship with me will teach her something our parents never did. Drop a comment below if you've ever had to make a difficult choice between family loyalty and self-respect. How did you handle it? I read every comment, and your stories help other viewers know they're not alone. The money from the lottery has been life-changing, but not in the ways I expected. Yes, it gave me financial security and the ability to start over somewhere new. But more importantly, it revealed who I really was under all those layers of people-pleasing. I've donated a significant portion to charities that support women escaping toxic relationships and starting over. If my experience can help even one person recognize their worth and demand better treatment, then everything I went through was worth it. I also want to give a shout out to my Uncle Jerry, who taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up with integrity. If you have someone like Jerry in your life, someone who tells you the truth even when it's uncomfortable, cherish them. They're rare and precious. For those asking about Rachel, I heard through Jerry that she's gotten her life together somewhat. She got a steady job and moved in with a boyfriend who doesn't enable her victim mentality. Part of me hopes that losing me was the wake-up call she needed. But I'm not holding my breath, and I'm definitely not opening that door again. My parents still send occasional messages through Jerry, usually around holidays, hinting that I should forgive and forget. But forgiveness doesn't require resuming toxic relationships. I can forgive Rachel for stealing from me without trusting her with my money again. I can forgive my parents for choosing favorites without subjecting myself to their manipulation again. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content about setting boundaries, recognizing toxic patterns, and building the life you actually want. The algorithm helps these stories reach people who need to hear them. I also want to encourage you to share your own experiences in the comments. Have you ever discovered something shocking about a family member? Have you had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting yourself? Your stories create community and help others feel less alone. Thank you for watching this deeply personal story. Thank you for listening without judgment and for understanding that sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that save us. Remember, you deserve relationships built on respect, not obligation. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions. And you absolutely deserve to prioritize your own well-being without feeling guilty about it. Life is too short to spend it managing other people's chaos. Sometimes you have to step away from the storm to realize how peaceful the sunshine can be.